Hey everyone, welcome to the Go Big with Leanne show where we are empowering you through connection. And I am so excited about tonight's guest, Dr. Kim Taylor. We met, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, and it really, and Kim has given me permission, I'll start off with that, to share a little bit of this story, that it wasn't the most pleasant of meetings, because I met her at a time where she was, I don't know if it was one of her lowest probably points in her life, and she was coming to me for some help, or the organization that I was working with. And man, I was like, oh, this woman is angry, upset, depressed, and she intimidates the heck out of me. So that was kind of my first experience with Dr. Taylor. And she's a board certified radiologist for 17 years. She is studying to be a functional medicine through the Institute of Functional Medicine. So that's really exciting to me. And the other thing that's super exciting is she is the owner and medical director of Taylor Wellness Institute. So we'll get into that. Kim will be on my show several times because we have lots of things to talk about. But what I can say for sure is, and I've said this to Kim, if Kim can make a transition from the Kim that I met 8 years ago to the Kim that is here today, then anybody that is watching or listening, catching the live or the replay, can make some positive changes in their life, because it's just amazing of the transformation that she's made throughout these 8 years. So I want to turn it over to Kim. I'm going to let her do a little more introduction of herself and just a little bit about her journey, and then we'll kind of just go back and forth with some questions, and just let you guys know that the reason why I really wanted Kim to share this story first is because a lot of people think that, oh, I should be able to do this or I can't do this, and they just lose all hope. And so when they hear a personal story of someone that's really come a long ways in their journey, I think it offers them hope and inspiration to be able to do something. Because coming from me, who I don't have a big weight loss journey or around health like that, sometimes people think, well, what do you know, Leanne? But Kim definitely has a nice story around her weight loss journey and the discovery of herself within that. So over to you, Kim.
Well, I'll start by saying I think it was more like 10 years ago that we.
Oh, okay.
It was before I did the San Francisco Women's Marathon, which was in 2010. I know that date, by heart. And it was before that. So it's been at least around 10 years, not 8. And I was at a really low point in life when I first met you. And, what I'll say is that since then, I've actually had several ups and downs where I've really kind of got onto the journey of wellness, and then life has happened and something gets in the way. And I, go back into a valley, and I'd gain weight back, and I'd kind of go back to old patterns. And it was just kind of this up and down, and I would get frustrated, and I would constantly tell myself, you really can't change. I mean, you can do this for a while, but you just deep down are never going to change. This is who you are. And this last climb out of the pit, I guess I'll say, has been going on for about 4 or 5 years now. And I approached it differently. Rather than just beating myself up into, I'm going to lose weight so people like me, and I'm going to lose weight because I don't like myself, and I'll like myself better when I do this or when I do that. I really took a step back and worked on the inner stuff and learned how to love myself, and learned how to approach life change from a more kind, gentle way that, looks at all of you, your mental, emotional, spiritual aspects, not just your physical weight, and lost weight that way. And it's proved to be a much more sustainable way of doing it. And, it leads you to a place in life where you're much happier and healthier, regardless of what your weight is. And I learned to kind of embrace who I was, whatever moment that I was in, and not waiting to be happy when I would lose the weight.
Kim, do you remember a moment where it was really defining that something happened in your life, or like you woke up one morning and you made this decision to do it differently? Can you pinpoint that, or was it more of a gradual?
Well, it was kind of a little bit of a gradual. I will say it was kind of a pinpoint moment in life where I realized I needed to change. And that was, I had kind of started getting, healthy, lost some weight, and then I had some life events happen that really tanked me. And one of them was, my parents lost their house in a fire and moved in with me, and my brother did as well. And I had the stress of kind of helping them, get situated, living with me, dealing with the insurance. I was kind of the point man for that. My job was going through a transition and merger that was not pleasant. Um, Lots of life events, and I fell back into my old patterns, and I gained all the weight back plus some. And several months later, I woke up one morning and I was just miserable. Like I've got to do something different. I can't live like this anymore. So I was actually on Facebook and happened to, by mutual way of mutual friend, discovered a coach, a life coach that was advertising a special for Black Friday. This is around November, for a 3-month coaching package. And I was intrigued, like, I'm going to sign up. 3 months of just some encouragement and some accountability to get back to eating right, moving, and feeling a little better. And that'll just be what I need to get started. But the mindset was the same. It was, I'm going to lose weight and then I'll feel better. And what happened over the course of that 3 months working with this coach was that she got in there and pushed the idea and the envelope and the issue that really you have to change from the inside out,
Right.
rather than your outside appearance and weight in. And it was I call her Mr. Miyagi sometimes, because it's kind of a wax on, wax off situation at times, because something would come up, and I started to realize over time how I was changing and evolving without even really knowing what was happening. And then it just became, after a little bit of time, I got so hungry for that personal change and that transformation that I sought it out. And so the moment that got me to change was pretty distinct, but the change itself and the pattern of change kind of evolved over time.
Yeah. So would you say that having a coach, a mentor, accountability partner, whatever, do you feel like that's been really key to your success this time around?
Absolutely. I mean, it served several roles. One, there's studies about all of us respond differently in terms of what motivates us. And some people genuinely do better with external accountability. And that's me. I recognize that. So having a little external accountability helped, but it was more about just the support and really being seen. I mean, really what that coach did for me was somebody to see me where I was at and help me see things from a different perspective than my blind perspective of who I've told myself I've been all this time, and allowed me to kind of open my eyes and realize that the stories that I was telling myself weren't true. And so that outside observation, look, let me show you what you're saying isn't true, and opens your eyes a little bit, I think was the most valuable thing. Someone that believes in you until you can really grab hold and believe in yourself, support, encouragement, all of that together made it a very powerful impact in my life.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about weight loss or health in general is that I should just be able to do it. And in the world we live in today, no, that is not a true statement. You should just be able to be healthy. You should just be able to maintain your weight. We were probably brought up that way, that it should be a natural occurrence. But we have so many things in our society kind of working against us now. How they make our food, how they market our food, our sedentary lifestyle. Now, a good majority of Americans are overweight, so there's no sense of urgency. Not that this is about weight, but it's about health. And we are healthier when we are closer to our ideal weight. Now, it doesn't mean every skinny person is healthy, but so we have to come up with that, that plan of attack that, no, this is not easy, because when we think something's easy, how much effort do we put towards it? Not much. But when we realize that we have, a challenging task ahead of us, then we surround ourselves with the right resources, the right people, the right tools. And then we put in the effort that's up here that is needed to happen around health and wellness now. And it's become a lot more, somewhat complicated, but I know Kim and I both like to keep it pretty practical and simple at its baseline, because we have to meet you where you're at. And then, if you graduate from kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, then we can go into more of like, what supplements, or, eating real food, or, planting your own food and going to all that. But, if we started there with people, or if someone would have started there with you, Kim, it wouldn't have went so well, because we got to meet people where they're at without that judgment, and take them along the journey. And it sounds like you were fortunate enough, and probably because your own experiences on your own, you needed that someone to kind of pull you through and to support you along the journey. And then it just community. There's so much science around, the value of community, and we can't do this alone. We're not meant to do it alone. And some people, yes, can manage themselves pretty well, but I think the majority of people are just like you, will need that outside vision coming in to support them. And the stories of our mind become the stories of our lives. Right. So if we have jacked up stories in our head, nothing we're going to do on the outside of this world, it may fix it temporarily, but it's not going to be a long-term fix. And I can guarantee, and I know she can agree to this, there's no number on that scale that is going to bring you joy.
Right.
It may bring you a little bit of like, woohoo, I did it. But joy comes from the inside. So that's kind of my little soapbox, and I'll let Kim jump in because I know she has lots to say about that.
Yeah, I definitely learned through the process that if you don't like yourself where you're at now, you're not going to like yourself when you lose 100 pounds.
Right.
The weight really isn't the core issue. And if you can learn to embrace and like yourself wherever you are in the journey, you can strive towards getting better in a much healthier and happier way, and achieve results that are sustainable over, I've got to lose 100 pounds because of this, or, so really learning to embrace yourself where you are, wherever you are at the moment is big. And I think having a coach sometimes can help you see that your value outside of how you define yourself. And the second thing is, we are a collection of our stories that we tell ourselves. And most of the time our stories are false, and we repeat them thousands of times a day. I think the average, every thought is like 60,000 thoughts a day or something like that. And so
right.
You're constantly telling yourself things like you're no good, or you won't change, or you can't do this, or you're lazy, or you don't have willpower, or whatever. You're going to believe it, and that's how you're going to behave. And so learning to alter your thinking around your story. And at first, it may be challenging. You just have to kind of keep going with it. But having someone help you rewrite that story, because sometimes you're just so ingrained in it that you cannot see outside the lines. And so, having someone help you see outside the lines and rewrite a different story. And so opening your eyes and realizing, what, change is possible. I can be different. There's nothing stopping me. But these stories I'm telling myself, and they're all crap. So once you stop believing them, your possibilities of what you can do and achieve in life are pretty much endless. And so those are the two really key things that I learned, is to be open to a different story and embrace yourself where you are.
Yeah, and those negative thoughts they're coming from ourselves, and they're also coming from other folks. And for every one negative we hear, we need 10 positives to kind of, wash that one away. And if we aren't personally doing something to fill ourselves up with positivity, then it's going to be very hard, whether it's listening to podcasts or being in a supportive community. You're going to go to bed thinking about all those negative things, and that's going to weigh you down. It's going to, prevent you from taking the action that you need to take. So I always encourage people, they say, well, I'll start when, when the stars are perfectly aligned, and there is not going to be a time when the stars are perfectly aligned. So now is always the best time to make a new decision for yourself. And it's not going to be a straight line. Your journey, to health is going to be up and down, twist and turn. Kim's had injuries, she's had setbacks. We all have. But we just, what I work with my clients when I tell them, I say, take it from a standpoint of, ask yourself, who and what do I want to represent in life? And create the behaviors around that instead of, I've got to lose this weight. I've got to lose this weight, because then you just become combative with it. And so if you just embrace that, I would like to represent a healthy person, and I want to, represent that, kind of like your legacy, what is your why? Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to be active? Why do you want to eat healthy food? And it can be to look good, that's fine. And it can be to feel good, but you definitely want to kind of dig a little bit deeper, in my opinion, to really, because the world's going to pull you and pull you and pull you. And if you don't have a strong enough stance for yourself, foundation, then it's going to be very challenging. And you're like, for me personally, it's kind of changed. It's evolved over the years. So your why and your legacy and things are going to evolve, and that's fine. Because now, I have three grandkids, and I thought I was in pretty good shape, but I'm like, oh my God, I better kick it up a notch because these three little ones, take a lot of energy. And so mental clarity and energy now are more my focus, and that involves me taking care of my mind, body, and spirit. So it's a package deal.
Yeah. And I think tapping, you alluded to that in a way, tapping into your why, really. I mean, you want more energy to play with your beautiful, I've seen their picture, grandkids. And so oftentimes figuring out what your why is will help you tap into the how. And there are multiple ways to get there as well. I mean, there's no one right answer, and you may try something and it may not work, or you may get a little bit down the road and slip back, maybe try it a little bit different way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, or that you don't have the willpower, or that you're inherently flawed. It's just your journey, and you're up and down all the time. And the 2 steps forward, 1 step back line. I mean, it's true. And even now, I was just telling before we went on air that I've changed my habits for the most part, and I'm healthy and happy. But I have moments, where I eat like I shouldn't, for several days straight. And I think I wake up like, what are you doing? And this pandemic, like everybody, has certainly been a challenge. And so, it's not that I have all the answers figured out. I have those moments too, but it's that idea of giving yourself some grace and realizing, what, I'm better than I was yesterday. This is a wise statement that I always get from my coach. I'm better than I was yesterday, not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow. And it's just a continuous journey, and allowing yourself that space to just be who you are and not be too judgmental or critique yourself, when you don't do something like you think you should just perfectly every time. So
yeah, have fun with it. I mean, make it, remain curious about life, and do your best to relax in the process of your journey to a healthier you. And because it makes it much more enjoyable from a relaxed state, and your body responds better to a relaxed state than a anxious, white knuckled state of being. So,
yeah, and oftentimes we're counterbalancing against ourselves with our goals when we're trying to lose weight or feel better, because we are stressing ourselves out so much. Whether it's all the negative thinking, or whether it's the lack of sleep, or the abuse that we're putting our body through with poor food or alcohol or whatever, in a self-sabotage or escape kind of pattern, that's just creating more and more stress that makes us feel even worse. And so it's kind of a cycle. It's like, it's hard to break, but once you can kind of get in there and realize what's going on, and just make a few changes, and you start to feel just a little bit better. Now it's easier to make that next decision with a little more clarity, and a little more clarity with the next decision. And so, baby steps, certainly. And even if you're not seeing progress for a while, stick with it, because sometimes it takes time. And so
yeah.
patience is one of the things that I really learned over this journey. Is just to be patient as well with the whole process of change.
One of the comments that I get quite often as a health coach is, I've tried everything. And I always say, well, you probably just didn't try it quite long enough. Because we are, as Americans, we are fairly instant gratification. So if we've done something for 3 days, we think we should be seeing results. Right. And so you have to have a little grit. And again, that goes back to the results are invisible until they're not. And that's, whether it's good behaviors or bad behaviors. So, or, quote, good behaviors, quote, bad behaviors. But a lot of times we don't see the results of our not so great choices right away. And the same thing when we make that transition into better choices, we may not get rewarded visually right away, but just honor that journey and that the courage that it took to make a new decision. Because in our world, let's be honest, it'd be much easier just to remain status quo.
Yeah.
But most of us, I mean, Kim obviously had a calling from her soul. I have a calling from my soul to, help people discover health. And so does Kim. And that's kind of how Taylor Wellness was born. And I'm super excited that, I think we're going to be working on some projects together. So Kim, you want to tell us a little bit about, Taylor Wellness Institute, what's already there, what people can expect to be coming. I know we don't know exactly what's coming, but you have some ideas.
A constantly evolving entity at this point, but it was kind of born out of as I started going through this journey myself, I started getting the inclination that really where my passion lied was in taking what I've learned and the changes I've made and helping others make similar changes to feel better. Because it really is. I always say it's not easy, but it's simple. I mean, it's really simple principles. It's not easy, but and helping people see that. And so I've kind of over time kind of developed this vision that really that's what I was meant to do, was kind of help people get along my path that I took. And it may be different means, but the path to wellness. And so Taylor Wellness was born, and it's really not been super active in terms of offering these services until recently. We're starting to get going, and our first programs that we're going to offer are a weight loss program. It'll be an initial 12-week kind of guided program where really the idea of what we want to do is bring you in and show you kind of a healthy approach to changing your nutrition rather than losing weight as a diet per se, and educating around what is healthy food and creating a healthier relationship with food and weight loss through other things in terms of the mental, emotional, spiritual things that go into that kind of thing. So we're offering a weight loss program that will also include some B12 and some amino acid injections, which can help with energy when you're on a lower calorie diet, and also have for some people, have a little bit of added weight loss, boost benefit. We're also going to offer some standalone injections like B12 for vitamins for energy, and some general wellness consults on a limited basis for now, because I'm still working full time as a radiologist as well. But on a limited basis, I'll be taking appointments for just general wellness assessments. Whether you're sick or chronically ill and just want to get your health back to a baseline and feel a little better, or if you feel pretty good and generally are pretty healthy, but you want to feel better and have a lot more energy, or if you're an athlete that, I'm just tired all the time, I'd like to do a little better, we have something for everybody on every spectrum. We're going to start offering that. We're going to eventually progress into more extensive, IV therapies and more functional medicine services and things like that down the road. But for now, we have the weight loss and the general wellness programs coming online, hopefully within the next month.
Yeah. And I know there'll be a big education piece and coaching piece and support. And then also your nurse that you have on board, she offers some kind of additional services as well, massage and some energy work, right? That can be an extension to what, if someone is interested in those things. So I think your goal is to kind of have wraparound services. You may not provide them all in-house, but we're going to have resources for folks to really have everything they need or access to everything they need to create this healthier you and create the joy that comes from being connected to yourself and to how good it feels to feel better. Because a lot of people don't realize how bad they feel until they feel better, and they're like, oh my gosh, how was I getting through life? So for some people, their normal state is just what they're used to, and so they don't really know that there's something else that they can have for themselves. And it's kind of like, if someone's never exercised and people are trying to tell them they get a high, I feel so good after exercise. And they look at you like, what, are you crazy? And so everybody's experience around exercise and health is going to be a little bit different. So I like that, it's going to be tailored to the person. There'll be a foundation, but then the person is going to get treated as an individual, not as like this mass concept of, what everybody else is doing.
Right. I mean, we'll take a look at your individual situation and kind of where you are in the health spectrum, and, whether your main goal is for weight loss or your main goal is improved health because you already are, diabetic or have heart disease, or if you have autoimmune or whatever it is. We may make a few individual diet recommendations for you tailored to those specific things, as well as kind of how much, depending on how much weight you want to lose. We'll take a look at the other factors in your life that go into a weight loss or wellness program in terms of how you're sleeping and your, emotionally, and what your support is, and, your passion in life. And do you have, things like gratitude practice have been shown to produce wellness. So, what's your stress level? What can we do to manage your stress? Some techniques of that, whether it's meditation or heart, biofeedback, heart rate variability things. And, there's a lot of ways to get to an effect. And the one thing doesn't work for everybody. So the idea is to kind of help people find the things that will work for them. If they need to reduce stress, okay, so 20-minute meditation on the couch isn't going to work for you. Okay, we're going to have you maybe try 20-minute walking, meditation, or going outside for 20 minutes and just getting fresh air, doing some biofeedback, whatever it is. So the idea is to look at the person as a whole and assess where they are in wellness, not just in their physical health, but mental, spiritual, emotional, social, environmental, and kind of see where the deficiencies are and kind of build them up from the base in the areas where they need support that will aid in the physical wellness and the weight loss. And one of those areas in social, and that we hope to build and grow over the next 6 months or so, is also, there's a lot of power in feeling like you belong to, a social connection, and have peer-to-peer support. And so we're looking at doing some group programs where we help provide peer-to-peer support among some of the people that come in that are in similar places, and do some group activities. And Taylor also wants to get involved in the community and build the community around us. And so we have a lot of things on the horizon, but really it boils down to looking at someone as an individual and as a whole, and not just treating their hypertension or treating their tired, fatigue, but we're treating them as a person, and whatever it is they need to feel well. And that may not even be a supplement or a change in diet. It may simply be, we need to find you some social support. So it's going to look different for everybody.
Exciting. And so, people can reach you through the website that's up here on the banner. They can also, you have a Facebook page. Taylor Wellness has a Facebook page, so you can reach her there. And then the other thing that we could, that we'd love to hear from you guys, whether you're catching it live or replay or the audio version. If you have any topics that you guys would like us to dive deep into, give us what you would like. So we have some ideas that we're going to come back. Kim will probably be on my show, I would say at least once a month, depending on our schedules. We both have a little, we do a lot of things. And so, but we're passionate about this. So we want to bring things that are meaningful to you. And so if you have some ideas, reach out to us. And then if you have any questions, for Kim, there's her information's on the screen. So we'd be happy to serve you. And it's exciting times ahead because, we know that this is much needed. And when you have a personal experience that people can relate to, I think that just adds more credibility to your already lengthy list of credentials that you've accomplished in your life. But, having that personal story, people can really connect with that. And I think from my perspective, for all the years that I've done clinical weight loss, that one of the things that people are really, truly craving is authentic connections and someone to really be honest with them, because it doesn't happen much in the healthcare world because their doctors are busy. They don't have much time to really connect with their patients. So that's one of the things that I'm passionate about. And I try to do that on a daily basis with all my clients. And I know Kim is the same way. So we are excited that you joined us tonight. And then Kim, I want you to give us some parting words for anybody that maybe is on the verge of just throwing in the towel of attempting to be a healthier individual. What's some, I know you're already giving us a lot of words of wisdom, but if you had to just, a one-liner for them or something that would be helpful for them.
A one-liner. Wow. I will say that change towards a better, more vital life, feeling better, is totally worth it. May not be easy, but absolutely worth it. And,
right.
The other, I guess it's more than one line, 2 lines.
That's fine. You can give as many as you want to.
Line would be that it's absolutely possible, no matter where you are in the moment.
Right.
Change is possible, but there's nothing that says that you have to be the same person right now that you were 10 minutes ago. You're not defined by your genetics. You're not defined by your family. You're not defined by who you were 10 years ago, or even yesterday, or even 10 minutes ago. You can change. And so what we need to do is just figure out the support and tools and resources that you need to make that change happen. So That's what we're here to help you do.
Awesome. And my one-liner for that is, everybody that's listening and everybody that catches this, you deserve it. You deserve to be healthy. So that's my line. I'm going to stick there because I could go into a whole nother topic about that. But So I think we're going to call it good for tonight. You guys, we gifted you with 30 minutes and you gifted us with your 30 minutes. So we really appreciate it. And, reach out to either one of us if you have any questions. And again, we will be back with more details about what's up and coming with Taylor Wellness Institute. And she has some other cool projects that we didn't get into tonight, but we'll do another live for that. So I'm creating a little curiosity that, you guys always have to come back to check what else is going on. So Kim, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate being your friend. You're a great person, and you've blessed me in a lot of ways in my life. And so I'm going to cry now, so I probably should hang up.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I can say the same things about you. It's been nothing but blessing in my life since we met. I know that 10 years ago it was not a pleasant experience, but we met back then for a reason.
Exactly.
This is it. So we're on the same path to help people.
Yep. All right. Well, you have a great evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.